I think we're live. Yeah, we're live. Tom, we better get through this today because I think you must be running out of suit jackets.
Don't worry, I got more coming, Peter. And if I can't get that, I'll just start using vests. Right? Vests are in vests and bow ties. That'll be the next one.
Suspenders, maybe.
I'm getting suspenders.
I'm not
I wanted
surprised.
fancy ones, but then it turns out there are no fancy suspenders because no one cares. No one's seeing it. It's underneath your thing. But I want
I
to be able to
like
do
bow
this.
ties. No, you can have the suspender seen if you don't wear a jacket over it.
Yeah, but then you look like a laborer. Who wants that? I need a little cap on me. Good day, my governor. No, thank you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Peter Hartman. I'm here with Tom, who needs no introduction, so we just won't. Part 3 of our beginner's guide to crypto. This has been a lot of fun. I've been on a learning journey. I feel like you must be too. If you have any questions, comments, anything like that, please make sure to leave them in the comment section down below. Or check out Happy for a Change Jumpstart over on Telegram and Discord. In order to get those links, all you got to do is either check in the description down below or head over to patreon.com/happyforachange and you can become a patron. And for $10 a month, $10 a month, you can put Tom in your back pocket. You're out there trying to figure out the crypto world. You got some questions you want to ask someone who's kind-hearted, who's intelligent, who's going to be able to communicate something to you in a clear and concise manner. Peter is right there for you. And for everything else, you can have Tom. All right, Tom.
I mean,
This is great.
I'm pretty surprised with how much people would get for $10 a month. I mean, they get a lot from me for free. You can imagine how
Don't let him know
detailed I'll
that.
be otherwise. Yep.
All right. Flattery will get you everywhere. All right, folks.
Well, today's a good day to talk about the risks of Bitcoin because it's crashing now. Didn't you hear? The projection before was $250,000 by tomorrow, and it's like down several percent today. So that's a problem.
It's going to keep going up. It solves problems in the real world, and those problems didn't go away, and there's not another solution to those problems. So very unlikely that we're going to be dropping down. And if we do, it's a buying opportunity, right? Buy the dip.
Buy the dip. Yeah.
Went from 66
one thing I like
to
to clarify on that, I spent a lot of time on Reddit, a lot of time talking to other people about how they trade, and there's this idea that anytime a price goes down, that it's a dip. You know, a dip only exists on an uptrend. If a price is going up and then it undulates, well, those are dips. If it's coming down, then it only bounces. Every dip you're buying is just more and more you're losing money. I never even understand this. And people have this idea, we call this in the trading world, catching a fallen knife. People go, oh my God, the price is coming down. It must be super valuable. And they're trying to catch knives as they're falling from the sky. I never understand why people don't just wait for the price to settle. And if it goes up a bit before you get in, okay, so you missed out on 5% of the move. Who cares? These people are insane. Now's the time to buy. Is now time to buy? Wait a second, man. God.
Well, look, I don't think there's any downside with buying Bitcoin, whatever price you're buying it at, because if your time frame is longer than 4 years, I think Michael Saylor says this from MicroStrategies. If it's longer than 4 years, even longer than that, then Bitcoin is pretty safe for you. If you're looking 10 years out, then ups and downs and dips and all stuff doesn't really matter. If Bitcoin goes up to 250, 500K, 1 trillion, I heard today was a headline. Everybody's just trying to one up everybody to get that headline. I think Bitcoin is going to go to $2 trillion in May. I don't know the year, but in an upcoming May, the price will be 2 trillion. Kitco News, post my headline. Post my headline.
Well, if I sell you a Bitcoin and you pay me an IOU, a $2 trillion IOU, I mean that counts, right? People in the financial markets are always buying things with money they don't have. So we could say it. We could say it right now today, $1 trillion Bitcoin. Tomorrow it's going to be zero though. Tomorrow is going to be zero.
Buy the dip.
Mm-hmm.
By the dip. All right, so we're going to try to get through the rest of our slides here today. How many do you have left?
Let's call it a baker's dozen.
A baker's dozen. I think you have 6
A
or 8.
four left.
Oh, you have 4. All right. So we are definitely
And next week.
not making it through this presentation in this part 3. So look forward to part 4. It's definitely 100% coming. But let's jump into it, Tom. Where did we leave off yesterday?
So we left off yesterday by talking about the different types of wars that are happening within the crypto space. Bitcoin versus altcoins versus meme coins, community tokens, and NFTs. So if you want to find out more about that, check out the last video. There's so much more to be said about it, of course. These feuds go deep, but it's nice to know that they exist. And one day you might find yourself on one side of them. But the next thing that we want to talk about now are the risks of owning crypto. Now, the risks are pretty clear, right? In any type of investment, in any sort of trade, in any sort of speculative endeavor, the risk is that you can lose your money. But the idea is, under what circumstances could you actually lose this money? So the big concern with Bitcoin up until fairly recently was that there would be some sort of regulatory risk, that they would either ban Bitcoin and the trading of different cryptocurrencies, or they would make it so tedious and so cumbersome that people would that they would stifle the industry until it died. Right? They would cut into the adoption curve of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Well, it doesn't really look like that's going to be happening. Not for the main cryptocurrencies anyway. Right? There are, like we said before, there's all kinds of different scams, all kinds of different schemes that are happening within the space, and that will get regulated and that will get washed out, either from entities from within the crypto community who want to self-police, or from outside who are, want to gain political points or help people by stopping nefarious actors within the space. But the big regulatory concern was that, if cryptocurrencies are competing with a financial system, wouldn't the financial system have a vested interest in, make sure that that didn't happen, that cryptocurrencies just died so that the banks could continue to make money? Well, we just saw recently, Peter, you were witness to it as well with this whole rise in Bitcoin that we've seen recently. A new ETF has come on the market from the US that trades Bitcoin futures. So all that means is that you're able to buy a stock on the American Stock Exchange that represents an ownership in Bitcoin. Now, there have been other Bitcoin ETFs. We've had one here in Canada for a while now. And
what's an ETF?
An ETF is an exchange traded fund. So basically, instead of it being, they behave exactly the same way as stocks, but instead of having voting rights in a company or a share of the earnings of a corporation, what you're doing is that this organization is buying certain assets on behalf of you, and then you are buying a share of that. So you might you might know of mutual funds, which have they have some sort of scheme of, this is the number of assets they're going to buy in any given sector, and you, instead of having to balance your portfolio in any particular way, you can just buy this one stock and it represents that. I believe the biggest ETF that, or the most common ETF that you're usually used to, are like the S&P, the SPY, the Qs for the NASDAQ, and these are easy ways for someone to buy the broader stock market index without having to buy every single one of the items inside the S&P 500. So what that does is that all kinds of money that's on the sidelines that would be interested in getting into Bitcoin, from individuals, retirees, and investment advisors, money managers, where they couldn't get into Bitcoin because they couldn't open up a wallet, they couldn't participate in different types of exchanges, they had all kinds of rules that they had to follow. Well, now we have a nice, tidy financial asset, a financial product that fits within the scope of what they can do. So that pours money in. For every dollar that goes to buy the ETF version of Bitcoin, those people who run that ETF have to go and buy some Bitcoin in order to represent the additional money that's there. But what that means as far as regulation is that if the government was going to ban it, they wouldn't. It seems very unlikely that they would have approved this ETF, right? The SEC and the different people, different stakeholders within the government would have just put a stop to it, right? Why put a stock online on the stock exchange and then take it off 6 months later because you ban it. So
Mhm.
the regulatory risk has diminished, at least in the United States. It could still go down in other places, but since the United States is the big dog, and so many people even abroad purchase things within the American financial assets system, then even if it was banned in France, people might be able to find a way of buying the ETF in the United States. So it's great news for that, and it makes it more likely that it's not going to be banned.
That's very good news. I understand from what I've heard, if you as a retail investor, small dollar investor, you want to buy $1,000, $10,000 worth of Bitcoin, it's not difficult for you to do. But if you have a $1 million corporation, if you're really up there, you don't just go onto the market and buy Bitcoin. There's all kinds of regulations or risks that are associated with that. KYC, know your customer, AML. But the
Money
ETF,
laundering.
money, yeah, that's right. So the ETF provides a safe avenue for larger entities to purchase Bitcoin. Not that they can't purchase the underlying asset, but it's safer for them to do this. It's easier for them to convince their board, and it's a space that everybody understands. It's not going to strike fear and uncertainty in the shareholders of a company if a company buys an ETF versus Bitcoin. So this is very positive news for the space. It makes it more likely. It increases the maturation of the field. There's
Right. It
less
legitimizes
risk. It
Bitcoin.
legitimizes it. There we go. That's the word. It legitimizes it, and it makes it so that larger institutions could come in. Why does that matter for the retail investor? Why does that matter for someone like us?
So in some sense, it lowers the volatility of Bitcoin, right? So whereas before someone might say, well, Bitcoin could fall to zero because it might just be flat out banned within the country. Now, it could fall to 1 penny. It puts a floor under what can happen there. Plus, as different institutional investors, I mean, this is a inside baseball, but if you are a hedge fund, if you are a pension fund, if you are a money manager, well, the likelihood that you're just going to quickly sell the Bitcoin ETF because of some news you saw on a website is not likely. These are usually places that hold their assets for a longer period of time. And as we talked about before, people who hold assets for a longer period of time lowers the stability, and then you have less speculators. And the less speculators you have within the asset, the less volatile it becomes. Now, this is only a component of Bitcoin, right? This is not like the entire Bitcoin space. There's still tons of things happening off the stock exchange within the Bitcoin space that you have to be concerned about. But as far as regulatory risk, a law that comes into place that puts a kibosh on you owning Bitcoin, that in the United States, that's pretty much gone. The second thing, though, so the regulatory risk, but that was something we always knew. So people also, you invest what you're willing to lose, and understand it could go to zero. So the regulatory risk wasn't really such a big concern because people were already okay with that. The second and third issue here is what I would really want to harp on a little bit about. The first one is about fraud and incompetence. So there's so many scams within the cryptocurrency space just because it's new, it's wild west, like it's unregulated to the same degree that you're used to other things. So sometimes you're dealing with an entity within the crypto space and they appear to be legitimate, but it could be a front. Sometimes you think you're on a given website to buy or trade a certain thing, and it turns out you're on a duplicate of that website that has the address, the domain name for it slightly different, so that everything looks exactly the same, works exactly the same, but you're just sending your money. You're sending your money elsewhere. Also, things like sometimes you're dealing with a platform. Let's say you're buying Bitcoin on an exchange, or you have a wallet. You're using some sort of online wallet to store your cryptocurrencies. Well, that wallet might be poorly programmed, right? There could be or even if it's programmed properly, there might be a bug in the code that makes it that someone can exploit it and take the money out of your account, steal your funds. This happens all the time, or hundreds of millions of dollars are siphoned away from people, and it's irretrievable. So this is something you have to watch out for.
This is the part of crypto that I find a little disconcerting. And I've had conversations with people that say, my money's in the bank. It's safe. there's recourse if something happens to the bank. If someone hacks the bank and takes your money, you don't lose your money. There's insurance that goes along with that. In a Bitcoin wallet, cold or hot, meaning connected to the internet or not connected to the internet, there's these other risks of hackers and flaws in the system. How should I think about the risk associated with Bitcoin or with crypto relative to banks?
Well, that's why it's called the crypto space is compared to the Wild Wild West, right? So you had this period of time where you had this uncharted land and this gold rush, and so you can go out there and you can start your own town, right? You could participate in something brand new. You can start it from the ground up, and you have that ownership, and other people come and can participate in the endeavor that you created, right? The people who were, let's say, still in the British Empire. Well, if someone wanted, there was no new place to go discover. If someone wanted to start a new business with all kinds of rules and regulations they have to follow, they're going to just wander off for 3 months and find a whole new land and name this town after themselves. Or for searching for gold, right? If you wanted to, if someone is a prospector, they're going to find gold. Literally in the Wild West, if you found that gold was yours. You can go out there. Now you can get robbed, right? You can get swindled. All kinds of bad things can happen. It's difficult. It's arduous, but the profit is so high that people risk their lives in order to do that because the risk, the rewards are so great. And a similar thing has happened in the crypto space right now. Later on, when the space is more regulated, known, these cryptocurrencies are integrated with all sorts of systems, and people forget that they were never there to begin with, you're going to have less volatility. It'll be more useful, but you have less volatility. And this idea of making a 5,000% profit on a cryptocurrency trade will be the stuff of the past, right? Like that's not going to happen anymore. And so one comes with the other. When there's a lot of opportunity and money and profit to be made, it attracts those who are adventurous and those who want to take advantage of you. That's just the name of the game. Can't take one without the other.
So we've got to have a little bit of that pioneer spirit when it comes to this crypto space. That's why rule number one, only invest what you are willing to lose is probably the best insurance you can have over your experience, right? If you can't stand to lose 100,000, don't bet 100,000, and then you guaranteed not to lose 100,000. That's the way you have to do it. It's interesting because of our representative society, whether it comes to governments or whatever, we delegate our responsibilities over to someone else. And so we've grown accustomed to living in a world where other people make the decision for us. In this crypto space, one of the things you have to be, as I'm understanding, you have to be aware of is that a lot of the responsibility is on you. It's on you to pay attention, to make sure the characters you're entering are precise, to know the links that are being sent your way, to evaluate the people who are commenting or suggesting things. It really puts the onus on you to monitor your situation and to understand it to a degree where you can know whether or not you'll be bamboozled or not. Personal responsibility seems to be crucial in this space. It's probably crucial in all aspects of life, even with banking, even with the stock market, but especially so in crypto because there's no recourse. Like when something happens in the Wild West, yeah, maybe the sheriff will be on your side and will be able to, enact the law and find justice, but mostly you're probably shit out of luck, right? You're probably in
well, consider it this way.
So
someone might say, if you wanted to buy 10 ounces of gold, someone might buy the gold and say, I want to buy the gold from a reputable gold distributor. It's going to be stamped with their brand on. It's going to be branded with their brand, their seal of approval. You know it's going to be 24 karat gold. And there's a serial number on it. It's registered to my name, and anyone who has this gold will be able to tell this is where traces back to, yes, the ownership is actually for Tom, not for whoever took the gold from me. But then you're paying a premium for that, right? All the administration behind that, all the seal of approval, all that you're paying for. There's a premium you're paying on that. You might pay 20%, 25%, 30% extra on the price of gold in order to get that. Wow. On the other hand, you can have just 24 karat pure gold, right? It's not branded or anything like that. You got it just at cost. But if Nick takes your bar of gold, Nick has your bar of gold. And you could tell someone else, well, that he stole my bar of gold. It's like, how do I know it's your bar of gold? It's a bearer asset. And so it's discounted for that. You're not paying a premium because of it. So I would tell people that you don't just start off in the crypto space by going, okay, so I'm going to go on a decentralized exchange. I'm going to transfer $10,000 inside of because someone on Reddit told me to do so. I'm going to buy a meme coin I don't know anything about, and I'm going to watch it go to the moon. That's not where you want to start. Maybe you start by going to one of the most popular exchanges like Kraken or Coinbase or CoinSquare or Newton or what have you, and you buy a little bit at a time. Maybe you buy that ETF for Bitcoin and you say, I'm going to put 90% of the money that I want to allocate to Bitcoin into the ETF, and the 10%, that's what I'm going to use and try to buy some Bitcoin on my own and see what that whole experience is like. It is an arduous experience. But it was an arduous experience when people had to move from sending letters to people to send an email. That was difficult. Now we take it for granted, but that whole protocol of how do you write and how do you answer and what systems you use, being locked out of your email, being able to recover your accounts, this was difficult. Same thing with social media platforms. There are social media platforms right now that people, if that platform disappeared, if they did something wrong and they got locked out, or it was flagged for fraud or whatever it is, they would be in serious trouble, right? These people who lose their Facebook account and now everybody they've ever known, everything they've ever done, from the picture of their children up until now, it's all like they kind of get access to it, and too bad, so sad. So these sort of things happen. But when you go to a more reliable platform, or more reputable platform, then you have this expectation of reliability, and then after that, you can take some baby steps into the out of the risk curve. But you are paying a premium for that, right? The person who's buying the Bitcoin ETF is never going to make as much money as the person who buys Bitcoin directly. You may say, wait, why is that the case? Well, the company who's running the ETF, they want their management fee, they want their performance fee on top of that, and then there's all the different third parties that they're dealing with. So maybe Bitcoin moves up 300%, and you're only getting 100% of that move, and you'd be like, hey, what's going on over here? Why did my neighbor who bought Bitcoin straight out got 3 times his money, and I'm only getting double my money? What's going on over here? Well, you're paying a premium for that reliability.
I like that. I wouldn't want anyone to listen to this and be put off by the risk associated with this, because although we're making the analogy between the Wild West and crypto, in the Wild West, the risk is you could get killed. Very unlikely you're going to get killed in this crypto space. So if you have a few hundred to spend,
I would put a caveat on that, because there are people who they did put in the money that they're willing to risk, right? Maybe they put in 3 years ago, they put in $1,000 and they were perfectly happy for that to go to zero. But then over that period of time, that $1,000 turned into $10,000, right? And that $10,000 now is very meaningful to them in their life. And then it turns out that they had a problem, so someone messaged them on Reddit or some forum, allegedly helping them, and it turns out they get scammed. That they reveal their password, the other person took it and siphoned all their money away. Now, fine, that person originally put in the money that they're willing to lose, and they thought they were being careful, but they got swindled here. And now the choices that they have to make for the rest for their lives are different than the choices they had before, right? They were counting on this, right? Even though they started off with all the same rules that we follow. So I don't think it needs to be a life or death thing all the time. It doesn't always have to be, oh, now you're going to be destitute or bankrupt. Sometimes it could just be that what you thought you could be doing for your future is no longer there, and that could be devastating as well. And I see this all the time. I spend every week I go on forums, on Discord, on Reddit, on Twitter, wherever, and I try to answer these people. I'm one of those guys who I like helping other people because it helps me understand things better. I can see what are the problems that people have. And Peter, every single day, people are scammed all the time out of all their money. The number of times when you set up your Bitcoin wallet or any type of cryptocurrency wallet, it's sort of like what you get the same message that you get when you open up a bank account. They say, don't reveal your PIN to anybody. Don't reveal your PIN to anybody. We will never ask you what your PIN is. Never reveal your PIN. And every day, people reveal their PIN. Every single day, people reveal their PIN. And the same thing happens in the cryptocurrency space. Big red letters, do not provide this information. This information means whoever has access to that is as if it's a bearer bond. They have access to everything that you're doing. Never show it. And someone says, oh, you're having trouble? Let me help you out. I need your I need access to that. Or it'll the one I see often is that they'll say they won't ask for the password directly. They'll say we need to remote log into your computer. We need to see what's going on in your computer. Do this and that. We're not asking for your password. We don't need you to do that. But please enter your password over here. And then they enter the password, and then they could see what's the password they entered in. And then while they're sitting there, they get all the money siphoned away. It happens all the time. So that happens. I mean, that happens every single day. But the regulatory risk was just something that could have happened and now isn't. But that fraud and incompetence happens literally every moment.
There is no gain without risk, right? And that's the game that we're playing. But you can mitigate that a lot by listening to a beginner's guide to crypto. So good thing that you're here. If somebody asks you if there's anything that you're not 100% sure of when it comes to things online, when it comes to your account, you should treat that with the highest amount of suspicion. That's how I feel. I get an email from Tom that I'm not expecting. I messaged, hey Tom, did you send me an email? What is this? Okay, what's it? Oh, I sent you the logo file. I go, okay, now I'll open up the image. I don't care if it says Tom Hartman, your beloved brother, sent you this email. Google has confirmed it. I'll be like, I'm sorry.
Well, that leads into the third question over here, which is personal error, right? Sometimes it's not some fraud that's happening, and sometimes it's not incompetence because of code. Sometimes it's just your own personal error. The number of people, I mean, we've all heard this story, the number of people who have lost their login information for their cryptocurrency account.
Oh, yeah.
And they bought 100 Bitcoin some years ago, and now it's worth $500,000, and they can't get access to that. That's a nightmare. But people lose their access to it because there's no recover password when it comes to the cryptocurrency space. None of that. It's just absolutely gone. It's irrecoverable. And so people, it tells you, write down this thing and put it in a safe place. You're going to need it. And people go, okay, yeah, I'll remember it. And then a year and a half later, they can't remember where they put the piece of paper. They can't access it, and there is no way, almost no way of getting access to it. So that personal error thing happens all the time. So one of the things that some people suggest, there's some good things and bad things about that, is that you don't keep all your crypto in one spot, right? You spread it out. You go, okay, well, these are going to be my high-risk cryptocurrency tokens that I'm participating in. I'm going to have it on this website. This is my long-term thing that I'm going to be holding. I'm going to have that on a hardware wallet. Oh, this I'm going to want to liquidate more frequently. That I'm going to have it on an exchange. And you can spread out the different things that it's sort of like having your bank account and then also having money in, underneath your mattress, and then burying some inside of a tree at your country house, and then whatever, and having some inside of physical assets, whatever it is, you can spread it out. Now the onus is on you. The one of the underlying mantras for the cryptocurrency space is you get to be your own bank. Well, the bank's got a lot of work to do. All right, the bank's not just sitting there with a pile of money inside of a vault. It's got to think about how to do this, but thinking about how to do that, how to manage risk, and to assume that you're going to make mistakes, and to front run that. It's sort of like playing becoming a good chess player. You got to think a few moves ahead, and it's not anyone else's fault because you only thought one move ahead, right? You have to push yourself a little bit further, and you grow as a consequence.
All right, so we've got regulations, fraud and incompetence, and personal error in terms of the risk of owning crypto. I think we understand that now.
All right, so let's move on towards the to the benefits. So obviously, the main benefit is profit. There has never been an investment opportunity like this in the history of humankind, or at least in recorded history that we know. Maybe the Atlanteans had their own version of cryptocurrencies that worked out very well, but we don't know anything about that. So profit is the main motivator for people to come in, which is interesting. The whole reason that the profit motive was deliberately designed within Bitcoin was that was going to be the adoption mechanism, not how easy it made your life for this or that or the other thing. They really wanted the profit motive to be the thing that caused people to transact with this asset in this medium, and then increases its price. But the second thing is funding innovation. Now, when you are buying stocks for a company, one of the things that, especially the initial stocks that, forgive me, I just got a message. When you're buying stocks for a company, the initial shares that they're offering, well, that money goes to the company, and that money is used. They raise those funds in order to pay for different innovations, to make their business better. Well, in the cryptocurrency space, there are endeavors out there. There are projects that are happening that have great aims that you might be very interested in. I've mentioned ELI5 before, which is decentralized video processing on the internet, but there's all kinds of things. It could be job boards. There could be things that are trying to solve climate problems and create environmental solutions, voting systems for governments, transparent voting systems for governments. There's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of different ventures that are happening within the space. Video games, romance, dating websites, whatever it is. And so what happens is that when you're buying the cryptocurrencies, you're actually helping fund that team. And if you respect the team, you like their vision, you like what they're aiming for, not only do you get to participate in the profit of that team in the same way as if you buy shares, you're also helping them. So I really like that, and that's one of the main criteria I follow for a cryptocurrency. I don't really care if there's a huge profit upside in the short term. I'm not trying to chase any sort of highs. I'm not one of those guys. I want to be in the GameStop trade and really quadruple my money tomorrow. I'm not really interested in that. I like the idea that what I'm doing, even in a small way, can actually help make the world more like what I have in my imagination. And third to that is
well, to that
Sure.
point, just before we move on, is that it's like being an angel investor. Like you get to choose where you like to put your money, and that shapes the future. It makes it more likely that this idea could flourish in the future. So if you've ever watched TechCrunch Disrupt or any pitch events or whatever, or Dragon's Den, you're like, oh, I would like to be the guy who's taking his money, or the person who's taking his money and investing in an idea. Well, here's a way you can do that with $50. Of course, you're not going to have as much of an impact as if you're putting $1 million into a company, but you can still have the experience of choosing your horse and shaping a possible future with the few dollars that you have. So to me, it's a very fun and satisfying thing to do, to play in the crypto space, to determine, is Cardano something that I think could make the world better? Well, I'll put a few $100s into that in order to make Cardano more likely to move forward. And you get to be an angel investor in that sense.
Yeah, and on top of that, so one of the things that, let's say, venture capitalists do is that they don't only Dragon's Den is a great example. They don't only give money; they provide their own knowledge to help the team succeed, and that happens in the cryptocurrency space as well. So you might buy $50 worth of a cryptocurrency because you like the project, but also that gives you, let's say, it's a governance token, and now you have actually a vote. That it matters how. Your opinion as to where the company should go. You also have, as a member, you almost become a citizen of that project, and you might spend a lot of time engaging with that system. So you're talking to the creators, you're talking to the other people within the system, you're helping to promote it, you're pointing out flaws and benefits for it. You're actually part of that ecosystem in a way that you wouldn't have been if you bought $50 worth of shares of a company. You actually have a say in the community of it. So sometimes you can actually get more out of the you're funding the innovation with your time and your energy, and you might not even have any dollars within it. And one of the things that happens there, and you see it actually more often than you might think, is that you have a particular expertise, you have a particular passion or interest in a particular project, you own some of their cryptocurrencies, it's giving you some indication as to how is it growing, what's the adoption like, what does the community think, and then you can actually become a part of that project because they could see, well, Tom actually seems to be very knowledgeable, and the 3 suggestions out of 5 that he gave for this actually worked. Other people came on board, so we should actually hire him to be the communication manager for the company. Or maybe you become a de facto resource for that, right? Maybe you don't work directly for the company, but because you create YouTube videos or articles online about it, you become a resource, and people go, well, you should go listen to Tom because when he talks about that project, he's actually very knowledgeable. And that ends up being something that, even though you're not an official part of that organization, you can put that on your resume. You can put that on your LinkedIn profile and say, look, I have this body of work that shows I know how to support a particular idea in the way that that matches my propensity and my aptitude. So there's a lot of opportunity here, more than just, you don't have to be the guy who digs for gold. You could be the guy who runs the inn. And so I find that far more interesting to me than just the profit, because if it's just profit you're looking for, you could just buy the S&P and just wait around for it to go up.
All right. So we've got profit, funding, innovation, and what's number 3? You said there was
So the third benefit
optionality.
here, I like to highlight, is optionality. All right, so optionality, what that means is that you're participating in something that has a possibility of providing outsized return. So think of that like a lottery ticket. A lottery ticket might cost you $2, but there's a possibility you might make $1 million. And so when you're buying a lottery ticket, you're buying more than just this piece of paper. You're buying the possibility that something massive and unexpected, relatively unexpected, can happen to you. And this is an important quality you want in your daily life. It doesn't only apply to investments. You want that also in your, so someone invites you to a party and you might say, oh, well, I'm an introvert, or I'm too tired, or whatever, and I don't want to go to this party. But that party, going to the party, you're engaging in optionality. Something can happen at that party that's unexpected, that causes you to meet someone that you fall in love with, or to find a business opportunity, or to generate an idea that you wouldn't have had sitting down on your couch binge watching Seinfeld again. The party becomes something more than just a party. It becomes the chance of something new occurring. And what happens is that when there's within anyone's life, and this is something Peter and I we talk a lot about in the Happy for a Change group in general, is this idea that you want that excitement. You want that sort of like, ooh, what can happen here? That curiosity, that's something shiny that's drawing your attention. And just that possibility alone is revitalizing. It makes mundane things that you're doing in your daily life interesting, right? So when I'm cleaning up the kitchen and taking out the garbage, well, the price of Bitcoin is also giving me like something to think about, right? Whether it goes up or goes down, it gives me something to consider. It gives me avenues of study. So when I'm thinking about what book I want to read, or what a podcast I want to listen to, or what YouTube video I want to look at, well, maybe I don't look at Seven Deadly Sins on Netflix anymore. Maybe I'll take a few hours and pay attention to, well, what does it mean when what does volatility mean at all? Like, let me study that and let me see if something like that piques my interest. So I went from designing websites to studying calculus. Right? I was someone who didn't even understand that calculus was important. Now I understand it's like literally the language of the universe. But Bitcoin helped me understand that. Financial markets helped me understand that. Optionality helped me understand that. And so when you're buying a cryptocurrency, it's sort of like you're buying the unknown. Anything could happen. You're buying excitement. And so that to me is just as valuable as funding an idea that I can see what direction they're going in, or the potential of or tripling my money in any given day. It's like I'm buying hope.
One thing I love that Elon Musk says is that his desire for humanity is that people wake up with a positive expectation of the future, with something exciting to look forward to. I think it's very important to have something exciting to look forward to. I think it's therapeutic, it's medicinal. I think it's how we're designed to be. And I feel like there were a lot of people for a long time, they didn't have something exciting in the future. Energy is the ability for action to occur. And going into domains and finding where energy, or that potential is another word for energy, where that potential lies, can give you this positive expectation of the future, this hope, this feeling of excitement of something that could happen. The moment you have Bitcoin, whatever it is not Bitcoin, but crypto, any crypto you have it, suddenly you are imbued with this potential energy. Any day you can wake up and something dramatic could occur. Your cryptocurrency can shoot up. There could be something new that's developed in the space that you can use your crypto for. You want to go into crypto because the energy of innovation and excitement is there, and if you can take a bit of that, I feel like you one of the reasons we want to do this, talk about this, is that I want people to wake up with a mindset for the future and looking ahead and excited about what could happen. I think it has all kinds of downstreams effects, whether it comes to your health, when it comes to your interpersonal relationships, when it comes to society and community as a whole. For the longest time, I felt like people felt like the boot was on their neck, like they couldn't move forward, like there was no avenue out, that the game was rigged. Well, here's a new game with new energy, new possibilities, and I can't stand it when I meet people that I care about, and I talk to them and they're not in this crypto space. I want them to be in this space, not because it's guaranteed to go to the moon, but because just by being in it, you're in the flow of life. You're feeling the vitality of your experience. You're feeling energy and desiring flowing through you, and the possibilities are limitless.
Peter, when I was younger, I would put I remember I would put $100 inside of my pocket, $20 to $100 in my pocket, and I would just keep it there. And well, actually, first what I would do is I would put a lottery ticket, because I used to be addicted to scratch cards. Maybe not so crazy why I got into cryptocurrencies, but I used to be addicted to scratch cards. And I would spend $2 to $5 every few days, and you know, you're not going to win. Even if you win $50, $100, you're just getting back a pittance of what you spent inside of it. But I had this hope that maybe I would scratch it and I would make, get the $1,000 a week for life or whatever it was. So the way I broke that habit is that I bought my last scratch card and I put it in my pocket, and I would just never scratch it, because I always knew that no matter what, there was always a possibility I could scratch this card and this was a winning ticket. And that sort of opened up this hope within me. Like, even if I, when we, didn't have anything and we're sitting there eating peanut butter out of a jar because that's all the food we had for days, I still had this hope that, but if I scratch that ticket though, it might be a winner. And then later on, I would put $100 in my pocket and I would go window shopping. Well, it's a very different experience window shopping when you have $100 in your pocket that you can spend and you don't spend it, right? It's sort of like, it's teaching me self-discipline, but also the ideas that occur to you are different ideas. And this is something that you, Peter, you talk a lot about, that you can focus on changing the circumstances in the world, but far better to change yourself. If you change your own internal state, then different thoughts are available to you, and then different solutions and opportunities and ideas and paths open up. You want that. That's what optionality does. That's what this crypto bet does. It says when you purchase it, you're not going to talk the same way you did before. I promise you, if you had some Bitcoin inside of your wallet, suddenly what your boss is doing at work is not so annoying. Suddenly a client on your case, not so annoying. Suddenly your relationships, not so tedious. And it feels good. It just feels good. Even if you haven't even converted this thing into money, just the ownership of it, that you're taking yourself in your own life, that you did this challenging thing, that you've take this risk, you're growing. I want everyone to have that feeling, whether it's Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency. But even if you don't want to do the cryptocurrency, do something in your life that gives you that optionality. Sign up for a class, go on a date, or whatever it is. That's what it does. It fills you with that flow of life you were talking about.
Sam and I, we do that thing where you buy a lotto ticket and don't scratch it, or at least wait a long time to scratch it. I think we've had one here for months. And I've done it for so long that, like, I never want to scratch the card. Like, right. Never do I want to scratch this lotto card. And I remember back when we first started this, Sam would scratch it, and I'd be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" You go, but I wanted to see if you won. But you're okay. We're definitely not winning. But if you didn't scratch it, then we can live with this sort of hope, with this feeling. Like, why would you destroy that? Why would you? I feel that way when people are like, "Oh, I'm gonna sell my crypto today. Bitcoin went down." And it's like, are you insane? Why would you get rid of that possibility? Like, are you gonna do something so amazing with this money now that it's you don't want to keep it in the Bitcoin space, in the crypto space? It seems
And it
kind of nuts to
hurts.
me.
It hurts later when the price goes up. People go, "Why did I ever sell it?" Right now that it's back above, it went back above all-time highs. Peter, the number of people are like kicking themselves. Why did I sell this thing? What did I get instead? Fine, if you're sitting on large gains and a bunch of profits, that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the people you put in $100, you were hoping to make $200, and then you sold it at when you're down $20 for what? For what? Cancel your Netflix subscription for a few months, and we'll just cover the cost for that, man. Oh my goodness, Peter, we have gone longer than I thought. The next slides that are coming up, I want to talk about are exchanges, like where to actually buy Bitcoin. I think we should save that for a different video. And
right.
for sure, Peter, it'll be the last one in this set.
For sure. Guaranteed. Unless we come up with more stories. This has been a lot of fun. Love learning about this crypto space. It's very exciting, lots of potential. Optionality is something that Tom is really in love with. He talks about it all the time. And you can find optionality in all aspects of your life, but definitely in the crypto space. You get on that train, you start realizing the value of that, and you're going to start looking at the experiences that come your way as far more exciting and desirable, and you'll be less likely to say no to things that pop up in your experience and more likely to say yes and to engage them. There are movies and documentaries and TV shows that get suggested to me. And the simple fact that they are suggested to me, I place a higher value on them. And it might not be something I want to watch or something that I want to do or a place that I want to go. But if I can find a way to say yes to that experience, very often my life is improved in some, even if it's in some marginal way. And that's the way you move forward. That's where you develop and progress. And I think that's the human spirit, looking for opportunity. What's over that mountain? And they're like, oh, there's risk there and you could be in danger and you could die. But it takes brave people, pioneers, the entrepreneurs of the world to say, I'm going to explore this. I'm going to dive into it. I don't know everything about it, but I know enough to know that I help humanity by engaging with the future, by investing in the future. And the crypto space is a place for you to do exactly that.
So I understand that the whole space can be confusing, it can be intimidating, which is why we're here for you. And what I want to encourage you is that there's so much more to the space than we can say in just a few hours online. And it's been years I've been exploring it, and I'm still discovering new things every single day. So I would love to be, like Peter said, in your back pocket. If you head over to patreon.com/happy for a change, you'll be able to sign up for a membership that gives you access to Jumpstart, and you'll not only be privy to you can ask any question that you want in order to gain more understanding about the crypto space. You can also see the things that I'm suggesting and that I'm learning. I keep track of that, and I share the most interesting things. So I want to be one of the guys in your life who helps surface information, so you don't have to dig through some of the tediousness. You get to see just the cream of the crop, and I like to point out things that I think might be particularly interesting to our group. So head over to patreon.com/happy for a change, sign up over there, and I would love to see you on our Telegram and our Discord for more engaging conversations.
If you liked what you saw, if you found it was useful, helpful, remember to subscribe to our channel, hit that little bell so you get notified when we go live. Are we going live tomorrow, Tom?
We'll see. It's a weekend chores.
That's right. That's right. So hit that little bell so that you get notified. Remember to comment. You can ask your questions. And if you feel like this would be helpful to anyone else, feel free to share it with them. It would really help us out. My name is Peter Hartman.
I'm Tom Hartman.
And you're watching Jumpstart Live. Take care, everyone.